Welcome, everyone. This is our first academic meeting of the year of the SUNY Board of Trustees, and I would be remiss if I did not start by introducing the newest member of our board, Cesar Perales, who honors us with your presence.
Sure.
And thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to say that we are all present. We are not live streaming. We are not getting members from other places, so that's very good for us. And I would like our secretary to please call the roll and let us know if we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. In addition to yourself, we have Trustee Perales, Trustee Ostro, Trustee Duffy, Trustee Burke, Trustee Korngold, Trustee Spielvogel, Trustee Staller, Trustee Spiro, Trustee Lewin, Trustee Fogel, and Trustee Kay. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, one of the great things that happens at our board meetings is we get to hear from the Chancellor, who gives us a remarkable perspective of what's going on at this vast university that we are fortunate enough to serve. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our very distinguished Chancellor, Christina Johnson.
Thank you very much, Madam Acting Chair. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on day 2 of our Board of Trustees meeting. And I'd like to start out by saying we had a busy summer, and I'd like to set the stage for our very ambitious agenda for the academic year 2020. So today, what I'll go through is our academic year 2020 goals and objectives, an update on our progress to date because we are already a few months into the year. And then I want to talk about the results of our strategic planning process called Framework for a Sustainable Future at one of our campuses, SUNY Poly, and then finish with key events and stakeholder outreach since our last Board of Trustees meeting, and then a bit of an appreciation for 2 of our executive leadership team that will be stepping down. So with regard to the Chancellor's priorities, we have, as I said, an ambitious agenda that line up along the Chancellor's 4 strategic themes, and they are people and partnerships, individualized education, innovation and entrepreneurship, and sustainability. And what I'd like to speak to today is just progress to date on 4 of those themes. One is Prodigy, which is promoting recruitment opportunities for diversity, inclusion, growth. The second one is I'll talk a little bit about presidential searches that we have in progress. Then we'll go to SUNY Achieve and SUNY Online. And in the bottom line, I know this is a pretty busy chart, but the individuals on the executive leadership team that are taking a leadership role in each one of these Chancellor themes are listed there. So with regard to people and partnerships, that's our new Vice Chancellor for Human Resources, Paul Patton. With regard to Prodigy, that's our Senior Vice Chancellor, Teresa Miller. And for internships and apprenticeships, that's our Senior Vice Chancellor, Johanna Duncan-Portier. In individualized education for SUNY Online, that's been a terrific collaboration between our Provost, Todd Larson, and our Chief Operating Officer and Senior Vice Chancellor, Robert Megna. And then SUNY Achieve. SUNY Achieve is all about focusing on how do we position our students for success, all the way from the beginning when we recruit our students to their graduation and their careers. And that's being led by our Senior Vice Chancellor, Johanna Duncan-Portier, in collaboration with Todd Larson, and also Eileen McLaughlin, our excellent Chief Financial Officer. Innovation and entrepreneurship, that's being led by our Senior Vice Chancellor for Research and Economic Development, Grace Wong and Jennifer Larson. But it runs through everything that we do. And sustainability, Robert Halen, Ricardo Aziz, and I should have added our Chief Financial Officer, Eileen McLaughlin, which has a lot to do with our financial sustainability. So I will edit that slide in the future. Presidential searches, there's nothing more important than what we do as both the board and executive leadership team, which is identifying and facilitating the hiring of outstanding presidents, because it really sets the tone at the top the president at the local campus enables the scholarship, the research, the teaching of our outstanding faculty, and then it helps our students with achieving their goals, both academic and career-wise. So I just wanted to highlight, we have 11 presidential searches this year. 8 will be at state-operated, and 3 will be community colleges. So Stony Brook on Friday, I'll have the opportunity to give the charge to the search committee that's being chaired by Kevin Law. Upstate Medical University, we will start a search for a new president there. We have an outstanding interim president with Dr. Dewan. SUNY Polytechnic, we are launching the search that's being chaired by Don Hanson. Fredonia, Plattsburgh, Old Westbury, and Purchase are 4 of our comprehensive colleges. And then ESF, the SUNY Environmental Science and Forestry. The 3 community colleges are Niagara, Suffolk, and Fulton Montgomery Community College. So let me give you an update on clearly my highest priority is helping facilitate the recruitment of outstanding presidents. Within the people and partnerships, we've launched, after my State of the University System address in January, Prodigy. As I mentioned before, promoting the recruitment opportunities for diversity, inclusion, and growth. We sent guidelines out to the campuses about Prodigy, and this is really the brainchild of Teresa Miller, our Senior Vice Chancellor. So this is different than perhaps other faculty recruiting initiatives to diversify our campuses, because it's really looking at more of a centralized strategy by which we can leverage the entire institution, in fact, leverage the entire system, to provide the kind of diversity that actually matches or aspires to match the demographics of our incoming students. Terry hosted a workshop in March. Proposals from all the campuses were due in July, and they were then revised, and we've gotten off to the races in recruiting, and I'm pleased to report the results. We had 42 Prodigy proposals that were submitted. 2 very innovative consortium proposals were across the 4 sectors of the State University of New York that the campuses got together to say, we need to work together in order to promote the diversity in hiring that are the aims of the Prodigy Initiative. And we have hired then to date, made 71 offers that have been accepted. 3 are redundant, so net, it's 68 new faculty that will be part of Prodigy. Now, our original goal, which is still our goal, 1,000 new faculty over the next 12 years. The fact that we launched this mid-year, and we were successful in recruiting 68, I think is a real testament to Terry Miller and all the campuses and team. So congratulations to Terry, and thank you for leading this particular effort. The next initiative that I want to talk about is our SUNY Achieve. So SUNY Achieve is the portfolio of all the programs that we do throughout the academic enterprise to increase our enrollment, our retention, and most importantly, our graduation rates. Now, if we look at the enrollment over time trends, you see that the total has been going down a bit, and there are a couple reasons for that. Some of the reasons have to do with the fact that we have a strong economy, and in a strong economy, we talk about the community colleges are cyclical, in that when the economy is good, the enrollment is a little lower. Let's look at community colleges just for a minute, because I think that's a really interesting story. If we look at the reduction year on year from 2018 to fall of 2019, and these are preliminary data, we won't know till drop add later in the semester the actual numbers. But we have roughly, if I can read that, I do have my glasses on, it looks like about 5,000 decrease. But the interesting thing is that because of SUNY Achieve, we've been increasing our graduation rates 2% per year. So some of our, if you will, decrease in enrollment is because of many factors. One, the Excelsior Scholarship Program, which is getting our students to graduate more on time and in a shorter period of time, and our graduation rates are going up. So we're going to drill into these details and get the numbers and the specifics after drop add for the next board meeting. But I think this is a great success story. And part of it also is just the natural changing population of the state of New York. The number of college-age students, 18 to 24, is declining. And it will do so until 2029, where then it will start to flatten out and then have a slight uptick. So what are we doing to address the changing population? That's where both Excelsior Scholarships comes in and SUNY Achieve. So I just want to highlight some more good news, which is around the Excelsior Scholarships. I know you all know this, but this was the program that was announced by Governor Andrew Cuomo, which is targeted to helping the middle-class students go to get a higher education degree, mainly from the middle class, up to this year, if your family makes less than $125,000 a year, the Excelsior Scholarship can kick in. Now, there's a particular aim of the Excelsior Scholarships, which we're seeing come to fruition in our results after year 2. First, it's an uptick in the number of students, almost a 50% increase over the first year, almost 17,000 or 16,500 scholarships in year 1, 24,000 in year 2. But the most important thing is on-time, 2-year graduation rates from our SUNY community colleges have almost tripled. Our full-time SUNY freshmen taking 15 credits or more is up 7.5% or 4 percentage points. So this is a success. This program is working as designed and is helping us graduate students on time with less debt. Second, good news is just the whole portfolio of SUNY Achieve, which has resulted in our increase in graduation rates. And this runs the gamut from guided pathways, which has now been expanded to 18 of our community colleges and growing, and it has the potential to reach 155,000 students, or 78% of our community college students. So you may say, well, what is guided pathways? Well, in my mind, I'm an engineer, but I also studied a little bit of applied math, and it's based on, in my view, this is just me, Brace's paradox. So what is Brace's paradox? This was something that was developed by a German mathematician in the 1850s, and it's the most efficient way you can transit a system is by having fewer well-defined pathways than multiple pathways where students can come in, take courses that may not lead to where they want to go or need to go, and it takes more time. Well, of course, it wasn't really developed with Brace's paradox in mind, but I think about that because I think that really what it's talking about is advising students from the minute they walk in to how they transit a very complex SUNY system or college experience in order to graduate and launch their career in a timely manner. And it's working. Re-enroll to Complete is the brainchild of Eileen McLaughlin and her team. They reached out to 30,000 students that had loans that had dropped out, and those loans would come due, or they would, the loans would actually come due, not necessarily default, within 270 days if they were no longer students. So now you have students that are dropping out, not getting their graduate degree, which helps them get a job to repay their loan. This last year, in the second year of the pilot, 5,700 students returned to SUNY to complete their studies. And we plan to expand this to all students that leave SUNY in order to say, we want you back, we want to help you be successful. You've heard a lot about co-requisite math and English. Let me just say, this is doing away with the need for remediation. It's a different way of reaching individuals, finding out the gaps in their knowledge, teaching them to them. And I know you've heard me say this before, but I'll repeat it again with regard to math. Co-requisite math has tripled the rate of graduation in half the time from that particular course. Not graduation, I should say completion of that particular entrance math class. And we have a new trustee, Christy Vogel, who teaches statistics, and I think that she could probably speak to it much better than I can, so feel free to jump in. Our Student Emergency Fund has increased the persistence rate. This was a pilot that we ran with the gracious donation from the Heckscher and Gertzner Foundation that increased our persistence rate to 90% across SUNY compared to 80% for students without emergency funding. I already mentioned the Excelsior Scholarships. We have DegreeWorks, financial literacy, so individuals understand the impact from a financial perspective on the decisions they're making. And finally, SUNY Online. And I want to segue into SUNY Online in a minute. But this slide, I think, tells a really interesting story. And this is where you see the graduation rates increasing by 2% a year. It's a steady drumbeat since students entering the fall of 2010. So if you worry about enrollment going down, this is part of the good news story, because students are graduating faster and at a higher rate, which means it's going to impact enrollment. So we need to now focus and do more work on the recruiting end to get more students to come to SUNY to get the high quality, accessible, and affordable education that we are known for. So I mentioned the population of the state. Clearly, if 18 to 24-year-olds are going down, and hopefully they're living longer, then 24 to 44-year-olds are going up. And we expect that population to peak around 2025. And that's really one of the motivations for enhancing our SUNY Online and for our SUNY Online focus. And I won't go into great detail on this. We heard a great summary of it from Provost Todd Larson yesterday, but this is the work of Bob Megna and Todd Larson to look at how can we expand our Open SUNY online platform. So currently, only 6% of SUNY students are 100% online, and that's about 20,000 students. The other news is that 40,000 New York residents go outside of the state for their online education. We want them back. We want them here. We want them to go through the programs that are local, because then we also have the opportunity to do hybrid and internships and apprenticeships and connect them to the richness that SUNY education brings. So this is what we're working on. We launched a pilot this fall. I won't repeat what the Provost said yesterday, but I just want to highlight a couple things. 7 campuses in the pilot, 9 programs, 27 unique courses, fall of 2019. The number of leads that were generated for online, whether it was to our traditional legacy platform of Open SUNY or SUNY Online, is up 15%. But maybe as important, not more important, but as important, we had 613,000 web visits, or up 140%. Year on year. So that means as we expand the offerings, we're certainly getting the kind of traffic that will result in enhancing our enrollment and our opportunity to impact the state in a very positive way. I want to just segue into our strategic planning process that we carried out last year and tee up what we might be looking at this year. So this is what we call a framework for a sustainable future. And this is something that's very important to SUNY, very important to the individual campuses. And so we looked at SUNY Polytechnic as an exemplar, and again as a pilot. And I think that's one thing that I would say that I've learned as being chancellor for 2 years, is the way to success within the SUNY system is to pilot at a few campuses and then grow through our well-established communities of practice. Again, that's been a collaboration of the provost, the CFO's office, and the research office. So these communities of practice, we're starting with a framework for sustainable future. We ran one this year at ESF and at SUNY Poly. I'm just going to report on SUNY Poly. We're looking at launching ones at SUNY Optometry and other campuses. So framework goals. The framework goal is to make sure the campuses set a clear vision and lay a strong foundation for the future. We do that through faculty and student engagement in 3 working groups. It's the Discovery Challenge programs. It's discovering new ways to be innovative around our education, learning, and our research programs. It's people and culture, and it's the ways and means by which people and culture carry out the educational enterprise. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but it's produced some very nice results at the campuses that have launched them. Each committee has a goal. First is to understand, is really about findings. And it's modeled a lot around the way the national academies do their studies. First, you got to find findings. Then you have to make recommendations, and then you identify barriers to those recommendations. Again, it's kind of 3 things, pretty simple. So our committee goals are to understand the key challenges facing the institutions, identify near-term opportunities, and make long-term recommendations that then the system can be helpful in other campuses to achieve. So for SUNY Poly, and I'm not going to go into details, it's really the purview of our president, our interim president, Grace Wong. But in broad brush, clearly, again, speaking in 3s, improving retention and graduation rates, very important. Building on the innovative undergraduate programs, particularly with the announcement that the governor made on Monday with the building of CRE and the attracting CRE to the SUNY Poly campus, which will produce 614 great paying jobs in that area of a technical nature. We have a partnership now with CRE that will develop the kind of programs that will help produce the workforce of tomorrow, and to expand the professional master's programs, and to look at enrollment from a strategic perspective. What's the recent progress? Well, in the recent U.S. News & World Report rankings for colleges in the Northeast, it was ranked number 2 as best valued school. Successfully reaccredited the engineering and business programs. Part of Framework for the Future is looking at how do we do enrollment? Are there ways to create pathways and partnerships? So Interim President Wong has signed partnerships with Mohawk, Schenectady, Hudson Valley, and Herkimer community colleges. She's also come up with innovative graduate programs with her and her faculty and her leadership with Albany Law School, Upstate Medical University, and then with Global Foundries and Rome Hospital. One of the important things that happened is we developed an education partnership with the Air Force Research Laboratory Information Directorate, and I think that is very critical. Lastly, in the last year, we announced almost $3 billion in commercial R&D projects with Empire State Development, and I want to give a special shout out to Howard Zemsky. Howard is phenomenal. He's stepping down as the CEO. He'll still remain, I believe, on the board, but he has really done an enormous amount of work for the state of New York, particularly in upstate in economic development, and SUNY Poly. The picture on the right is just a photo from the announcement that was made on Monday, a $1.5 billion partnership with Cree, ESD, SUNY Poly, and building at the Marcy Nano Center, a brand new fab. It's supposed to be online by 2022, silicon carbide, which is going to help power, so to speak, pun intended, the electric vehicles or renewable energy technologies of the future. And on the right in that little picture is Howard Zemsky, myself, and the CEO of Cree, Greg Lowe. So we're super excited about that. Another part of the planning was to think about how can we open our campuses to be innovative. And so one of the things that is one of the great successes that Interim President Wong has brought home is an open innovation campus with a $12 million investment from Oneida County, ESD, New York State Department of Transportation, and the Griffith Air Force Institute. And it's called the Open Innovation Campus there. And again, this will look at trying to spin off technologies and advances into new products, processes, and companies in the area. Because now we've got an anchor tenant there. You know, actually we have two. We have Danfoss and we have Cree and we have others. So this is poised to take off. This is super exciting. Nothing happens overnight. I only put this curve here, this graph here to show that this has been in process for about a year and a half. And I just want to, again, applaud the leadership of Interim President Grace Wong in promoting this work. This is just to summarize the Cree announcement. I think that what's exciting to me is that if you ask any leader in industry, where do the jobs go? They go to the best educated workforce. And Greg Lowe told me when we talked that one of the things he's most... he's the CEO of Cree. He told me that one of the main attractions, in addition to the strong support of the governor, and I must say also the visionary, there was a time when AMS walked away, that we could have walked away from this site, but there was the vision by both the governor and Howard Zemsky to continue the infrastructure development, which made it possible for Cree to come in and have a shovel-ready site that they'll be able to bring online a much-needed manufacturing facility within 2.5 years. So that's what sold it. It was having that vision, staying the course, and we're so excited to bring it home. In addition to all that, which is a lot, the fact that it's on the SUNY Poly campus and they can develop partnerships and get the best educated workforce is really, I think, the way public-private partnerships can work. So hats off to everybody involved with that. Part of the framework for the future is looking for opportunities to drive the scholarship and research agenda. I just want to say that over the course of the last even quarter, we've announced roughly $20 million in new research contracts, not just at SUNY Poly, but also Binghamton, Buffalo, and Stony Brook and others. So these are just some research recognitions. So let me just conclude my presentation. Since our last board meeting, end of June, I've had the opportunity to visit 6 campuses, which have been outstanding. Community colleges, Brooklyn National Lab, our tech, and also our university centers, a sampling of those. I've had the opportunity to work with our presidents as well as our elected officials and some of the leaders of other institutions at various events. I'll point out the one in the middle and the bottom, which is, this is really the leadership of Joe Storch and his team on preventing sexual harassment. The individuals sitting there, and it may be hard to see all of them, but they are the 5 superintendents of the military academies of the United States. And they have come together to talk about something that is very important to all of us, which is getting rid of the scourge of sexual assault and sexual harassment on our campuses. And I want to point out that the West Point Commandant, the far left, Commandant Darrell Williams, he had a academy-wide stand-down in February because sexual assaults had reached double digits, and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable everywhere. This is something that we're shining a light on here within SUNY. We are not immune to this, but we have to get after this. And so that was just a great honor to moderate a session with 5 of these leaders who are committed to this. So those are a few things just over the summer. And finally, I think, clearly one of the highlights, obviously, was the opportunity to be part of University of Buffalo awarding an honorary degree from SUNY to the notorious RBG on August 26, 2019. And you can see in the picture on the right, many of the trustees and the law school dean, and of course, President Tripathi, our acting chair Tish, were there to celebrate. And what an amazing, amazing event. And she gave so much of her time. In fact, the really cool thing for the students, their first lecture in law school, RBG. So we appreciate her accepting that degree. And speaking of appreciation, I just would like to conclude by saying we're losing 2 of our outstanding members of the executive leadership team. I just want to point out we'll be celebrating them individually as well. But one is, of course, Ricardo Aziz, who is our Chief Officer of Academic Health and Hospital Affairs. And he came to serve about 3 years ago. He will be leaving us to go become the Chief Executive Officer of the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, starting in January of 2020. He has provided great strategic support, guidance, and advocacy for the educational, research, clinical missions. And I have to tell you that one of the things that's always impressed me about Dr. Aziz is that he has the students, faculty, and staff health as the #1 thing on his mind, which is great. He also set up SUNY's Hispanic Leadership Institute, a national model for developing and promoting Latinx executives in higher education. In fact, 3 of the fellows have now been hired into leadership administrative roles within SUNY, so we're super excited about that. And he was the first to convene a retreat of all the academic medical centers. In fact, after I was appointed, I attended the retreat. It was in May of 2017 at Global Center. So he's really been trying to foster the collaboration, the exchange of innovative ideas and best practices across the system. We're also losing Elizabeth Garvey, who has been our Senior Vice Chancellor for Legal Affairs and General Counsel, who is outstanding, and we're really going to miss her. She came on board in January of 2018, my first year, and is just such a trusted advisor, super individual. I thought, my first thought was when Alfonso David left to become head of HRC was, yeah, I think Beth's going to be tapped, and she was, which is a credit to both Governor, of course, and to Beth Garvey. So she'll be leaving to serve as a trusted advisor and a special advisor to the governor. So many things that she did in her year and a half here. And I think that just conscientiousness, attention to all strategic and tactical details. And beyond that, and there's a lot, Sandra, how many general counsel, how many councils are? There's 45 councils throughout the SUNY system. So not only managing that workload, but I think the quality of a great leader is when they can rise above what they have to do and do something unique and innovative. And so she hosted the first SUNY's inaugural First Amendment conference, which I thought was outstanding. She drafted the consensual relationships policy that was adopted by the Board of Trustees, and she also got that worked through with the system in order to get that accepted through the campuses, and she updated our SUNY-wide policy statement on sexual harassment prohibitions. Just to mention a few, there's too many to put on this particular side, but we're going to miss both Dr. Aziz and our General Counsel Garvey very much. So could I ask if we could have a round of applause? And last but not least, on Friday, I had the opportunity to visit my 64th campus out of 64. Yes. So, Corning Community College. And I noted, I was very pleased that my team, so I was at Corning, which is about 3 hours away, and I get this picture over, iPhone text from Lauren McCabe, my outstanding senior executive, who's over here, who baked this wonderful cake with 64 in it, but notice that the cake was in Albany, but I was in Corning. I have yet to see a piece of it. I'm sure it was really good. So thank you very much, Lauren. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. And that's it. That's my report. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
Chancellor, I want to thank you for that outstanding report. I am sure at the board, we are constantly reminded of the breadth and scope of your work and your stick-to-itiveness. And I just think it's really remarkable. You did a great job. I have, colleagues, any questions for the Chancellor before we move on to appointments? Austin, what would it be without you asking a question?
Thank you. I also I just wanted to recognize the Chancellor for one additional commitment she made that she followed through on over the summer, which was at our May Board of Trustee meeting. A number of graduate students came and brought the issue of graduate stipends to her attention, and she and I had some follow-up conversations. I immediately, realized how seriously she took their concerns, and as a consequence of her discussions with the University of Buffalo leadership, they have piloted a new living graduate stipend wage that those students are very grateful for. And I want to thank you for your leadership, Chancellor, on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seeing no further comment, I think we'll go on to 3 consecutive appointments. Before the Chancellor moves into these appointments, I would like to remind everyone that these appointments have been vetted by a committee of the board who unanimously moved them to have them come to full board today. So, Chancellor, without further ado, let's do our wonderful appointments.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. It is now my pleasure to bring to the board the recommendation for interim president of Suffolk Community College, and that is Mr. Louis Petrizzo. Mr. Petrizzo was appointed administrator in charge of the college in January of 2019. Since December 2017, he also has served as executive vice president and general counsel of the college. As administrator in charge, Mr. Petrizzo provides oversight for the day-to-day operations of the college and supervises the Office of Legal Affairs, Facilities, and the Office of Community Relations and Labor Relations. As general counsel, Mr. Petrizzo provides legal advice to college administrators and the college's board of trustees. He provides guidance on federal, state, and local laws affecting higher education, including Title IX, the Clery Act, and employment discrimination. Prior to his tenure at Suffolk Community College, Mr. Petrizzo was an attorney with Louis Petrizzo and Associates in Babylon, New York, and served as staff counsel at the New York State Senate, as well as town attorney for the town of Babylon in Lindenhurst, New York. Finally, Mr. Petrizzo served as a Suffolk County legislator for the county of Suffolk in Hauppauge. Is that how you pronounce it? I hope. Hauppauge. Okay, I'll work on that. New York. Given Mr. Petrizzo's experience and expertise in organizational management, intergovernmental affairs, and policy development, I'm pleased to recommend him to the board for appointment as interim president of Suffolk Community College.
Terry, would you read the resolution?
Resolved that the appointment of Louis J. Petrizzo as interim president of Suffolk County Community College, effective August 15th, 2019, be and hereby is approved.
Colleagues, any questions? I would like to have a motion to bring this forward. May I have a motion? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
We thank you, Chancellor, for bringing us Mr. Petrizzo, and we congratulate Mr. Petrizzo on his appointment. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Alfred University.
Thank you very much, Acting Chairman. Dr. Gustad, who is being suggested for appointment as vice president at Alfred University in charge of the statutory college there of ceramics, received her bachelor's of science in ceramics engineering from Alfred and holds a PhD in materials science and engineering and an MS in computational design and optimization from MIT. She became the dean of the Inamori School of Engineering at Alfred University in January of 2019. 10 years prior to that, she was a professor at the Golisano Institute for Sustainability at the Rochester Institute of Technology. At the Rochester Institute of Technology, she conducted research over $2 million in sponsored grants, mentored doctoral and master students in the recyclability of battery technology, including lithium-ion batteries. She, President of Alfred University, Mark Zupan, has recommended that Dr. Gabrielle Gasted fill the position as Unit Head and Vice President for Statutory Affairs at the New York State College of Ceramics at Alfred University. And I would also like to say that one of the R&D collaborations that CREE brings to the table is also a relationship with Alfred's College of Ceramics. So I think that's a nice combination there. But after careful consideration, I enthusiastically recommend Dr. Gastad for your consideration as Unit Head, Vice President of Statutory Affairs at the New York State College of Ceramics, Alfred University.
Terry, would you read the resolution for us?
Resolved that the appointment of Dr. Gabrielle Gasted, Vice President for Statutory Affairs at the New York State College of Ceramics at Alfred University, be and hereby is approved.
Colleagues, seeing no questions, I ask for a motion to move this appointment. So moved. Second? All in favor? Aye. Again, I congratulate you, Dr. Johnson, and Mr. Gastad on his appointment, and thank you, Ms. Gastad, I met her, she's fantastic.
Absolutely.
She's going to do a great job. We are lucky to have her. She's very impressive. And we welcome her, and we look forward to working with her.
Great.
Now, we move on to an emeritus designation.
Thank you very much. Tom Schwartz served as president of Purchase College from 2003 to 2019. In 2004, President Schwartz headed the first ever effort to successfully establish a Purchase College brand with the tagline, "Think Wide Open." I have to say, President Schwartz, I wish we could steal that for SUNY. I think it's brilliant. We'll talk later. Under President Schwartz's leadership, the college experienced a significant increase in improved retention and graduation rates, academic restructuring, and academic restructuring with an emphasis on greater interdisciplinary study and collaboration, enhanced communication among all campus constituents, renovations to existing structures in the main campus plaza, which is beautiful, as a reflection of the campus commitment to the environmental and social responsibilities. President Schwartz's tenure has embraced entrepreneurship in an effort to create new revenue streams such as the Park to Fly and the Broadway Senior Living Project that support the mission of the college. Before Purchase College, President Schwartz had a distinguished career as a partner at the law firm of Skadden, Arps, Slate, Meagher, and Flom, where he was a national practice leader of the litigation department and was the founding partner of the firm's Committee on Diversity. Given his impressive tenure leading Purchase College, I am pleased to recommend to the board that Mr. Tom Schwartz be honored with the distinction of President Emeritus.
Terry, the resolution, please.
Resolved that Thomas J. Schwartz be designated President Emeritus of the State University College at Purchase in recognition of his 17 years of distinguished service at Purchase College.
May I have a motion? A second. All in favor? Aye. Do you have anything you'd like to say to us?
I don't know. I'd like you to sit down. I feel uncomfortable with your not
I'm sitting all day.
Thank you. When the chancellor said that you might ask me to say a few words, the first thing that came to my mind was John Kennedy's great line when he was asked how did he become a war hero, and he said, "They sunk my boat." And, so here, in this case, they unsunk my boat. As some of you know, when I came to Purchase, it was in dire straits, and through the work of a lot of people, we unsunk the boat. And I think it's been my pleasure. I had a great career, as the chancellor indicated before, and now I've finished a second great career, and I'm trying to figure out what the third great career will be, and if, as the chancellor knows, if I can be of service to SUNY, I'll be more than glad to be. But I'm proudest of the fact that we just about doubled our graduation rates. And we use 4 years, not 6 years, because 6 is, is a national statistic. But if you have enough financial aid and you have enough emergency money and enough mentoring and advising and so forth, you ought to be able to get kids out in 4 years. So we use 4 years as a goal, and although I keep losing this bet to Dennis, who is now the interim, Dennis Craig, I believe that we will hit 60% in the next couple of years. So I just want to say thank you. It's been, I've had a lot of support from a lot of people up in this building, and sometimes head scratching as well, but I appreciate all of your efforts. I know to be a trustee is a enormous responsibility. I'm still a trustee of my own college, and I take it very seriously, and I know you all do as well, so I just want to say thank you. And I know Purchase would welcome your visit at any time. Thank you. This is the opposite.
I'd like to say one word about, or a few words about President Schwartz. I made the mistake at the last president's meeting of saying, "You look good." And he came right back and said, there's 3 phases of life: youth, middle age, and you look good. So he has a great sense of humor. And you are looking good.
Hard to move on to the mundane, but here we go. We move now to the approval of our minutes. Terry?
You were, in your materials were included minutes from the June 19th and 20th meeting of 2019. At this time, are there any changes or amendments to those minutes?
Seeing none, hearing none, may I have a motion to accept our minutes, please? Thank you. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, although we are streaming during a brief time, I think it's important to note that we come now to probably the meat and heart of what we do, and that is a summary of our committee meetings, which were robust and interesting and productive and full. And I will call on each of our committees. We will start by order in which we met yesterday. We met first our audit and academic medical centers and hospitals. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Ed or is it going to be Eric?
Oh, thank goodness.
What a volunteer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Audit Committee met on September 24, 2019. Amy Montalbano, the university auditor, provided an overview of the contracting process for hospital audit services, including how the proposals were evaluated and scored. The highest scoring firm, Fuss Charles Chambers, LLC, scored the highest and was awarded the contract. The contract will be for 3 years with 2 options to renew for 1 year. That constitutes my report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
It's an excellent report. Anyone have any questions for Ed or Eric? Excellent. We will move now to student life, ably chaired by Eunice and Austin. And it is,
You can have students and they can enroll, but if you can't focus on their health, safety, and well-being, then we are nothing as a university. So Eunice and Austin, I want to thank you for your remarkable leadership here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the Student Life Committee met yesterday, welcoming new member, Trustee Cesar Perales, and our new co-chair student trustee, Austin Ostro. Austin organized a key discussion on affordability and financial aid. We heard from 2 SUNY students, Yahad Hoyt from SUNY Farmingdale, and Tureen Rackmeyer, a transfer student from Mohawk Valley Community College. and now is a student at the University of Albany, who share their experiences and those of their colleagues in applying for financial aid. We discussed a range of issues: multiple applications and deadlines, an increase in students selected for FAFSA verification, uncertainty around eligibility, and where to turn for help, and a calendar that can overwhelm campus financial aid offices. Assistant Vice Chancellor Patty Thompson highlighted existing resources and planned action steps, including the pending purchase of a suite of new mobile-friendly technology tools. The committee discussed advocacy to improve federal guidelines. Ms. Thompson concluded by asking to work in partnership with the Student Assembly to inform next steps and increase awareness of existing tools. Dr. Graham shared the significant work done in response to the committee's May call to action around student wellness. A new task force has been formed and will meet this week, and a new system-level director of student wellness has been appointed. The committee had the chance to meet Dr. Leah Wentworth. The committee then received the final report and recommendation of the Food Insecurity Task Force. We thank Dr. Graham for his leadership and recognize task force co-chairs Dr. Ann Kress, president of Monroe Community College, and Ms. Randy Shubin-Dresner, president CEO of Island Harvest. The professional and personal commitment of Dr. Kress and Ms. Shubin-Dresner elevated the call to action about hunger on SUNY campuses. Under their leadership, the task force accomplished its charge and set out a great path for us to follow in the next phase of this work. Our gratitude to Governor Cuomo's initiative, No Student Goes Hungry. I asked Chancellor Johnson if she would consider formal recognition of their work, and she was willing to present a resolution. Mr. Secretary, would you please read that commendation resolution?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Whereas Dr. Ann Kress, president of Monroe Community College, and Ms. Randy Shubin-Dresner, president and CEO of Island Harvest, chaired the SUNY Student Food Insecurity Task Force, and whereas under the leadership of Dr. Kress and Ms. Shubin-Dresner, the task force made key accomplishments, and whereas the commitment of Dr. Kress and Ms. Shubin-Dresner to this work was elevated, the call of action about hunger on campuses and focused attention on ways in which SUNY can support students in need, be it therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees commends Dr. Ann Kress and Ms. Randy Shubin-Dresner for their outstanding leadership of the SUNY Food Insecurity Task Force.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Austin to go over the resolution for athletic. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. We need to take a vote on the resolution. I move the resolution.
Intent to move on.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Chair.
Austin?
Thank you. At first, I just want to thank Chair Tisch for the appointment as co-chair of the committee. I think it says a tremendous amount about this board's commitment to the promotion of the student voice, that the student trustee isn't just a trustee, but the chair of such an important committee. So thank you, and I want to thank Trustee Lewin for her partnership and mentorship, getting me up to speed for this meeting. The committee, in addition to the business discussed by Trustee Lewin, also voted to move a resolution for consideration by the board titled Recognition of Athletic Team Achievements. This resolution honors 5 SUNY teams who took home 2019 national championships. I want to thank Chancellor Johnson for her ongoing support of SUNY student athletes and for forwarding this important resolution to the board. Mr. Secretary, would you please read the resolution noting the winning teams?
I will do so. I also will note that contained in the resolution is a clause noting that these teams received a grade point average, on average about 3.61, which is significant. Resolved that the Board of...
Personally, I would have led with that.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees commends the following SUNY athletic teams which received national recognition in 2019. The SUNY Brockport Women's Gymnastics Team, the Herkimer Community College men's basketball team, the Onondaga Community College men's lacrosse team, the SUNY Plattsburgh women's hockey team, the SUNY New Paltz men's volleyball team, and the Suffolk County Community College women's outdoor track and field team. We do need a motion
May we have a motion?
to adopt the resolution.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
Congratulations to all our students. Chair Tisch, that concludes our report.
Excellent report. Excellent meeting, excellent report. Now we turn to Trustee Duffy, ably led and assisted by our own Johanna Duncan Poitier. And we turn to you for your report on community colleges.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Community
Oh, 1
colleges.
minute. I'll come back to you, Todd. Sorry about that. I'm a novice. Go. No, go.
The Community Colleges Committee met yesterday at 3:45 p.m. and finished at 4:45 p.m. We were joined by several other members of the SUNY Board of Trustees, Chancellor Johnson, and President of the New York Community College Presidents Association, Christine Duffy, New York Community College Trustee Association President Donna Mihalik, as well as SUNY staff members and guests. As we begin the new academic year, the committee requested an overview of the data associated with the community college sector to inform future policy discussions of the committee, as well as advocacy. Further, we are convinced that community colleges play a critical role in the future of our economy and strengthening the workforce. Examining the current state of the sector is so important for future advisement and consider directions. The committee heard from the outstanding Senior Vice Chancellor, Duncan Poitier, regarding the profile of SUNY's community colleges sector, and here are a few highlights from her report. Community colleges enroll 199,873 students, which is the largest individual SUNY sector. Community colleges also have a large footprint geographically, which is important because so many students need or want to go to college close to home. 52.5% of community college students are full-time and 47.5% are part-time, while 77.4% of community college students are age 24 and under, and 22.6% are 25 and over. The highest concentration of community college students are enrolled and awarded an associate degree in 3 program areas: 34% the humanities, 20% business management and public administration, and 14% in health and related fields. As we speak about SUNY Achieve and having all students who attend SUNY meet their greatest potential, we are so pleased to discuss the 2-, 3-, and 4-year graduation rates for first-time, full-time associate degree students, our increasing post-implementation of student success initiatives. Beginning after fall 2010, continuing to the fall of 2016 cohort, the 3-year graduation rate is up by nearly 6%, which is great news. We also spoke about what happens to students that are not counted in that graduation number. For fall 2017 and 18, 60% of students either graduated, are still enrolled, or transferred before they received an associate's degree. From 2017 to 2018, there has been an increase in the number of SUNY Community College students transferring to SUNY 4-year colleges. Lastly, one of the key data points included that over the past 5 years, more than a quarter of SUNY's baccalaureate degree earners transferred from a SUNY community college. The Senior Vice Chancellor also shared some exciting news on workforce development, including that SUNY was recently awarded $8 million by the U.S. Department of Labor for leadership in developing apprenticeships. This funding adds to the initial investment by Governor Cuomo of $9 million to support apprenticeship programs. Opportunities for students to have paid registered apprenticeships is very, very strong at SUNY. The Senior Vice Chancellor also mentioned the Workforce Development Initiative Consolidated Funding Application, known as a CFA, that will bring millions of dollars to our workforce development efforts, has just been launched with SUNY as a major player. This year marks the completion of 5 years of implementation of the New York State P-TECH initiative. Finally, it was announced that the Northland Workforce Training Center in Buffalo celebrated its first graduating class in August, with 24 students completing SUNY Erie's Mechatronics or CNC precision machine programs. 100% of them moving into well-paying career opportunities, and thank you to Trustee Lewin for her support on that. And thank you all. That concludes the report of the Community College Committee.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. And now we go to Todd, our provost, who will give the report on academic affairs, as Trustee Litow was unable to be with us this morning, although it was quite a robust meeting that the two of you led yesterday.
It was indeed. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. The Academic Affairs Committee met yesterday welcoming new members Austin Ostro and Christy Vogel to our group, and we did indeed have a very fulsome discussion, a number of quick updates which I'll review briefly, and an in-depth conversation that I'll describe in a moment. We started by reviewing preliminary enrollment numbers for fall 2019. The executive summary of that discussion is we don't anticipate a lot of movement over last year, a lot of change from last year in terms of year-on-year total enrollment statistics. Our state enrollment, our state-operated campuses are essentially remaining flat in enrollment, and community colleges are expected to see a decrease on the order of 3%, which is a little bit less than actually the comparable decrease was last year. With final numbers due out in mid-November, I reported that we seem to be on par, at least with other states that experience declines in high school age populations and the trends that we're seeing. But obviously, there will be continued, detailed analysis of what these trends mean for us in the future. And I think it also sets up the idea that our ability to attract adult learners remains very important, and I'll speak a little bit more about that in a moment. The second update I gave was on the General Education Task Force that's forming this fall. We discussed a number of topics in connection with this, but there is really a need for balance here as we go through this process and being aspirational, but also allowing campuses sufficient flexibility and not disrupting seamless transfer, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. The third update was I shared plans for a strategic review of international education and highlighted a new online dashboard that showed the wages of SUNY graduates. And this was actually a follow-on from a presentation that Teresa Foster gave to the board last spring. The committee suggested linking the wage dashboard to online information about financial aid and student recruitment. This is an important, I think, point of connection from to the committee report we just heard. And we think that's a very good idea, as well as recruitment efforts about online, which I'll talk a little bit more about next. I did share some progress on the online pilot. The Chancellor made a few remarks a little bit earlier about that. The foci of the online pilot to date have been, first of all, creation of a common technology platform that all of the participating campuses are using, which has several advantages in terms of student support and effective administration of these programs. We are also able to report significant increases in leads from the target demographic of adult learners and also in traffic to legacy SUNY online websites. And so that's obviously going to continue to be a focus, but the initial data there are good. As the pilot has currently been focused on a small number of campuses, those who've participated in the pilot, the committee rightly urged communicating progress and future developments very effectively with all institutions, and in fact that'll be key to the expansion of this initiative. And the committee also recognized the progress made, but rightly urged continued speed. And we do understand and take to heart the urgency of this initiative and its importance for SUNY's strategy. And it's a real, I think, honor for all of us on the team in both Bob Megna's and my shop, as well as our partners out on campuses, to be engaged in this important work. So the in-depth topic that we spent a little bit more time with yesterday was a discussion of the analysis underway on the implementation of the seamless transfer policy. As we are just 3 years past the policy implementation date, the analysis focused on associate level outcomes and transfer path effectiveness. And the early results are positive. Again, this will be a topic we'll continue to I think, refine our data capability and our analytics and efforts at improvement. But just to give a little bit of flavor for this, the average time to degree completion and the average credits at completion have both decreased over time. We're achieving key policy goals related to student completion and saving students money. Just to give you a little bit of sense of the order of magnitude of those savings so far, the total credit reduction, estimated at over 9,000 credits, equates to an approximate savings of over $1.7 million in tuition and fees for students. And this is just sort of the first order what we can see before and after news about the interventions that we've done as a system. Completing a degree one term sooner at a SUNY community college saves a student approximately $2,800. So this gives you an idea of the importance of this work, both to students and for responsible use of the state's resources as well. The analysis indicated faculty confidence in the 52 transfer paths created to guide the first 2 years of study in the most popular majors, but we did identify 13 disciplines that are going to need to reconvene to add and delete courses, create new tracks, or make adjustments to new developments in the field. And so that will be part of that ongoing work that we're going to want to revert to the board with news on as time goes by. The review of the faculty survey prompted discussion yesterday in particular about how to gauge student satisfaction with the process. That's something we've done, but it's been a little ways back. And so I think that's something that we'll obviously work with the Student Assembly on and look at a way to more rigorously collect. The committee looks forward to the next phases of the analysis. This model that we've sort of established for giving quick updates on ongoing issues of importance to our mission will continue. We want to look at baccalaureate outcomes. We want to study whether or not students were required to repeat classes at the transfer institution. We actually have the data analytics capability to do these analyses now, and of course, this very directly impacts students, and that will be something we'll be reverting with in the future. Chair Tisch, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Todd. Thank you. Now we turn to our Committee on Finance Administration, and we ask Trustee Stoller, ably assisted by our own Eileen McLaughlin, to give us a report on what was truly a fascinating meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We discussed at our meeting some of the recognition that SUNY has garnered for its exceptional results in moving students from the lowest quintile to the highest quintile in income. And a recent study identified colleges and universities that best promote upward mobility. And in that study, Stony Brook University ranked #1 in the Mobility Index among public universities, and #3 among all 1,380 schools in the index. SUNY Maritime, Alfred State, Binghamton, and SUNY Albany all ranked in the top 4% of the schools ranked in the index. 16 of the 30 SUNY state-operated campuses ranked in the index top 10%, which is just remarkable. University at Buffalo serves more students from low and moderate income families than the entire Ivy League, which is 8 schools combined. And a recent article noted the following, and I'll quote, "Good things are happening at Stony Brook and elsewhere, even as states have cut $9 billion from public universities over the last decade. Stony Brook's budget, for example, remains below where it was before the Great Recession. That's just nuts. Colleges like these show that if you do the right things, you can keep the American dream alive. We should reward colleges with proven results, and the rest of higher education should follow their lead." So I think these are pretty remarkable results, and I think they reflect all of the good work happening at SUNY. At our meeting yesterday, we approved 6 resolutions, which I now would like to present to this board. The first resolution is entitled Acquisition of Real Property, Cayuga Community College. This resolution approves the selection of the site, as well as the valuation of real property located at 81 Wall Street in the city of Auburn, which was acquired by Cayuga for its expanded child care program. The Cayuga board purchased the property for a price of $250,000 through a foreclosure sale. And this board needs to make a determination of the value of the property for purposes of determining the state match for capital improvements. We've been asked to approve a value of $250,000. I would like to ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Resolved that the site be and hereby is approved, and be it further resolved that the value of the site for purposes of Section 63041C is determined to be $250,000.
I move the resolution.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much. The second resolution is entitled 2019-2020 Capital Master Plan. The SUNY Board of Trustees is required by law to approve and submit annually to the chairs of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee and the Senate Finance Committee, as well as to the Director of the Budget, a master capital plan setting forth the following: major projects proposed for construction or rehabilitation, major projects currently in design or under construction, major project spending to date and anticipated timeframes for completion, and how such major projects address improvements in environmental protection, energy and resource management, solar energy, and conservation. A copy of the plan has been made available to the trustees, and this plan contains a comprehensive description of the major construction and rehabilitation projects currently under construction or proposed for construction at our state-operated campuses, including the 3 teaching hospitals and statutory colleges. I would now like to ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Resolved that the State University 2019-2020 Master Capital Plan Report, reflecting information as of July 2019, be and hereby is approved, and be it further resolved that the Chancellor be authorized to submit the Master Capital Plan to the chairs of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee, the Senate Finance Committee, and the Director of the Budget.
I move the resolution.
May I have a second? All in favor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The third resolution is entitled Residence Hall Program Bonds Issue for State Fiscal Year 2019-2020. This resolution would approve and authorize the issuance of new residence hall bonds in an amount not to exceed $175 million during the state fiscal year 2019-20 for the construction and renovation of dormitory facilities and/or the refinancing of prior bonds where beneficial. One requirement for the issuance of the new bonds is the need for the SUNY Board to approve the dissemination of certain information in the official statement in connection with the new bond offer. Therefore, this resolution provides that authority for the Chancellor to issue this information. Debt service on the residence hall bonds are paid from rents and other income derived from the dormitory facilities and not from state appropriations. I would now like to ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Resolved that the Chancellor or designee be and hereby is authorized to undertake and complete the financing of projects in an amount not to exceed $175 million and to refinance prior bonds where beneficial.
I move the resolution.
May we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. The fourth resolution is entitled Community College 2019-2020 Capital Chargeback Schedule. This resolution approves the 2019-20 capital chargebacks for the 30 community colleges. Education law permits the Board of Trustees to establish capital charges to counties of residence for non-resident students at our community colleges, up to a maximum of $300 per year for each full-time student. This resolution establishes a chargeback of $300 per year for all of the community colleges. I now would like to ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Resolved that the maximum annual capital chargebacks which may be assessed on non-sponsoring counties for the 1920 college fiscal year be and hereby are approved as set forth in the resolution.
I move the resolution.
May we have a second? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much. The fifth resolution is the 2019-20 Community College Tuition and Fee Schedule. This resolution approves the prior action of the Board of Trustees of each community college in setting the tuition rates and fees for the 2019-2020 college fiscal year. All of the community colleges operating under the State University of New York have completed the tuition and fee approval process in accordance with the New York State Education Law and the university's regulations and administrative procedures. I would like to ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Resolved that the 2019-20 tuition and fee schedules for community colleges be and hereby are approved.
I move the resolution.
Second?
Madam
Chair,
Yes, sir. I believe that someone wanted an opportunity to indicate that they were not approving proposals.
Was that noted, Terry? The abstention? Is it an abstention or a no?
I want to actually make a quick debate point, if it's.
So the resolution's been moved and seconded, and now Trustee Ostro would like to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Appreciate it. I appreciate the commitment that was expressed in finance yesterday to advocacy on the state and county level, which will hopefully make increased tuition in the future less necessary. The Student Assembly's had a long-standing position in opposition to tuition increases, both at the community college and state-operated level. I'm not going to reiterate all of my points from yesterday, but I will be opposed to this resolution.
Thank you, so noted. May we have a, Bob, would you like to say something?
I also just want to echo Austin's comments that we appreciate the explanation yesterday, but I will also be voting no on this.
We have a motion, we have a second, we have a few noes. All in favor?
Aye.
I guess the resolution carries. I think it does.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
The sixth resolution is entitled 2019-2020 Community College Operating Budgets. This resolution would approve the 2019-2020 operating budgets for the 30 community colleges. This resolution approves the prior action of each community college and its respective local sponsor or sponsors in setting its operating budget for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. This resolution contains a detailed budget for each of the 30 community colleges. I would like to ask the Secretary to read the resolution.
Resolved that the operating budgets for the community colleges for the 2019-20 college fiscal year be and hereby are approved as set forth in the resolution.
I move the resolution.
May I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Just opposition noted.
Opposition noted.
Madam Chair, unless there are any questions, that completes my report.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you so much. May I have a motion, colleagues, to accept all of our committee reports? Second? All in favor? Aye. We go on now to our consent agenda, and I will turn this over to Terry, but I would point out that these are all resolutions that have been brought to the board for rulemaking that have been discussed, debated, and approved, and we come now just for final formal consent. Terry, these are tabs 12, 13, and 14 in your books.
Correct. These rulemakings were previously adopted, received no public comments following publication, and have not been changed from their adopted form. Would move that it be resolved that the regulations be adopted.
God bless. May I have a motion? Second? All in favor? We come now to,
I just wanted my opposition noted to tab 12 in the consent agenda.
Oh.
Thank you.
yeah. I turn the floor back over to the Chancellor for a very important resolution.
Thank you very much, Madam Acting Chair. This is a resolution on the Bahamas and students. SUNY and New York State stand by those affected by Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas. The hurricane destroyed most of the islands of the Grand Bahama and Abaco, whose people remain in shelters and displaced. New York has a strong bond with the islands of the Bahamas and continues to take action to assist those affected by the tragedy. The Board of Trustees have taken similar emergency action in the wake of Hurricanes Maria and Irma in 2017 to assist students from Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands in assisting students affected by the earthquake in Haiti in 2010 and the following Hurricane Katrina in 2005. We open our arms to students displaced by Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas, and I would like to recommend to the trustees for consideration a resolution for our state-operated colleges and universities to offer in-state tuition for the 2019-20 academic year to those impacted students.
Colleagues, any questions? Chancellor, any further comment before we put this motion to vote? Although I think you said it all. May I have a motion to approve this resolution? May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
As the final moment of this board meeting, we turn now to a bittersweet moment, which is where we get to say thank you and goodbye, kind of goodbye, because always with us, to our colleague Nina Tamarovsky. And with that, I turn this board meeting over to our colleague Gwen Kay.
Thank you. It is an honor for me to say these words. Nina Tamarovsky, in her role as president of the Faculty Council of Community Colleges, has been a mentor, a friend, and a colleague. She has been consistent, passionate, and a strong advocate both for community colleges, for the students, faculty, and staff on them, and also for shared governance. She has fostered collaboration with the University Faculty Senate, especially through SUNY Voices. She has worked also with Student Assembly. She has worked with the CUNY University Faculty Senate. She has gone above and beyond in many, many instances. Mr. Secretary, would you please read the resolution?
Whereas Nina Tamarovsky served as a member of the State University of New York Board of Trustees and president of the Faculty Council of Community Colleges from July 1, 2015 to June 30th, 2019. And whereas in that capacity, her dedication to shared governance, persistent support for the role of faculty in the SUNY system, and unwavering advocacy on behalf of SUNY's community colleges demonstrate her commitment to SUNY. And whereas Professor Tamarovsky was an integral part of strengthening the SUNY Voices project, working closely with the University Faculty Senate presidents, past and present. And whereas Professor Tamarovsky has truly been an asset to SUNY, not only as a trustee and public servant, but as a true member of the SUNY family, lifting up the system and the incredible initiatives, programs, faculty, staff, and students that comprise the great public university. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees expresses its deepest gratitude to Professor Tamarovsky for the valuable contributions she has made to the State University of New York and wishes her all the best in her future endeavors.
May we have a motion to accept this controversial resolution?
Is that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can you vote twice? Nina, we turn the floor over to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Gwen, and thank you for a beautiful resolution. I wrote down some words so I wouldn't flub them up and get too teary-eyed here. But let me just say it's been an absolute honor to serve on the SUNY Board of Trustees for the past 4 years. I've been privileged to represent the community college faculty across our SUNY system as the Faculty Council President. And I'd like us to ponder for a minute the amazing dedication that community college faculty demonstrate every day to our students. Community college faculty in New York have led the state and perhaps the country in the reform of developmental education in math and English composition. 18 community colleges have agreed to pursue guided pathways that clarify curriculum offerings for our students. And community college faculty teach a 5-course teaching load without the help of teaching assistants. Our community college students are among the most diverse in the SUNY system with regard to ethnicity, race, identity, disability, and especially in their intellectual ability and readiness. I've taught at Syracuse University and SUNY Oswego and Onondaga Community College, and the best students I've taught were at OCC, and the weakest students I've taught were at OCC. This speaks to the instructional skill that our faculty hold in order to deliver the best academic experience to our students that's directed both to transfer and to the workforce. Our faculty and our presidents and trustees are committed to the open access mission of the community colleges, and we're very proud of every student's achievement as they move through our institutions. Community college faculty are an incredible asset to this system. And we must acknowledge the work of Senior Vice Chancellor Duncan Poitier and her office that supports and coordinates the scaling up of our DevEd reform, as well as the Guided Pathways Initiative. Her role is essential in linking the community college sector to SUNY priorities. Thank you, Johanna. And thank you to all the trustees for their service and their leadership in New York's public higher education system. I need to offer a special thanks to past board chair Carl McCall and acting chair Meryl Tisch for welcoming our faculty and student governance leaders in this board's work. And I want to give a special shout out to the students and to the faculty leaders. I think we've forged a wonderful relationship over the last 4 years, working with student leaders like Austin and Mike Braun, Mark Cohen, and Tom Mastro before him, and with Gwen Kay and Pete Knupfer in my 4 years. And they've just been wonderful colleagues. And thank you for supporting all of us in this work. Chancellor Johnson has been a catalyst in driving this monster system of diverse colleges and universities towards a new set of priorities. Our faculty appreciate and value her vision and continued embrace of shared governance as we help in the pursuit of these priorities. And on a personal note, thank you for supporting me in this trustee role. Your public and sometimes private compliments of my words and my ideas these past 4 years just warm my heart. I'm proud to call you all my friends. And I'm sure you'll extend the same graciousness and decency to Trustee Christy Fogel as she begins her tenure on the board. Thank you, everybody. Oh, we get to sit in the chair.
Let's take a picture of your chair.
First stands, and then dance. Beautiful. Beautiful. You sit, we'll stand. Okay. Wonderful. I like the two tones. Okay. Okay. All right. This is what you call lady power.
Chancellor?
Yes, it is my pleasure to have the last announcement of the day. So it is my great pleasure and honor to announce that Governor Andrew Cuomo announces the appointment of Dr. Meryl H. Tisch to serve as chair, and Cesar Perales if you stay standing for a minute, and if that wasn't enough, Mr. Cesar Perales to serve as Vice Chair of the SUNY Board of Trustees. Congratulations.
Cesar, the floor is yours. Say something nice for both of us.
I fully expect Meryl will have a few words of her own, but I really wanted to tell all of you how delighted I am by the governor asking me to serve as vice chair. This institution is certainly one of the most important in the country, and I feel very, very proud that I will be part of it, and that I'll have an opportunity to work with all of you to continue its tradition, and hopefully we will achieve great things over the next couple of years. So thank you very much.
Colleagues, I have gotten to know most of you over the last 2 years, and I tell you, as a group of people, as a group of public servants, as a group of professionals, it is my honor to be amongst you every time I am with you. I look forward to our continued wonderful work together on behalf of New York State, our students, and our communities under the leadership of our outstanding Chancellor. Thank you all, and with that, we stand adjourned.